Hello everyone, how are we doing today? How is your business? How is your family? How are your neighbors? I hope we are all fine. Today we are going to be making a wrap round gown. Yeah, a cross. I hope you get it. That's what we're going to be making today. I have here 6 yards of Ankara fabric. I intend to use 3. But God help me in case I exceed the 3. So that I'll remember to tell you how many yards I ended up using. But my plan is to use 3 yards out of these 6 yards. Okay. First, we are going to be cutting the lower part, which is the 180-degree circular pattern. All right. Okay. So I'll just pick one of these 2 ends. Fold this way. And then fold in order to get a 180-degree circle. Okay, now having folded it this way, the length of the lower part is 25 inches. My waist is 40 inches, but I added 15 more inches to it, making it 55 inches. Okay, that's because I want to put a little bit of gathers at the waistline, just very little. Okay, so 55 inches divided into 4 will give us 13.75. So here we're going to measure 13.75 with seam allowance added. So here is 13.75. I hope you see it. I added 1 inch extra for seam allowance. I also measured the length of my gown. I hope you can see this line here. I'll just cut it out quickly. So when you cut it out, you have something like this. But I'm thinking it's too wide for me. I mean the lower part. That's why I had to remove this few inches. I didn't measure it. I just removed few inches at the lower part. But if you like, you can leave yours to be this wide. I just don't want mine to be as wide as this at this lower side. This is the back piece right here. And please, the few inches, the 15 inches I added at my waistline, it is based on personal reasons. Okay, you can use your accurate waist measurement to do this. It will still come out better. It's just because personally I want to add a little bit of gathers at the waist area. All right, so with this now, I'm going to cut the 2 front pieces. I'll just place it on top of my fabric and cut it out. Okay, so now we have both the front and the back. The back is the one on fold, this one, and then this other one, which appears longer at the waistline, they are the 2 front pieces. Now to the 2 front pieces, I added extra 6 inches. I hope you see where the back stops. Remember, it is a wrap gown. That's why I added this 6 inches at the front. I hope you get that. Like I said earlier, my length is 25 inches. I added 1.5 inches seam allowance, making it 26.5 inches. Okay, I added 15 inches to my actual waist measurement because I want to put a little bit of gathers at the waistline. Then at the front, I added 6 inches extra, okay, to what I have at the back. This is the back piece. I hope you can see where it stopped. So this one from here to here is the 6 inches I added, okay, because it is a wrap dress, so that I can cross from one side of the waist to a little bit to the other side of the waist. So the next thing will now be to cut the bodice, and I'll be cutting the back first of all. Remember, there is no zipper allowance because it is a wrap gown. So I'll just measure my shoulder, the length of my bodice, my bust and waist. So my measurement will be starting from here. On it, I'll place my shoulder measurement, 8 inches, 3 inches for shoulder slope, and the 8 inches I come down by 1 inch, and then I join it. This is also for shoulder slope. And then I'll place my armhole measurement of 8.5 inches. Then my bust measurement, 44 inches. Allowance of 3 inches. My waist is 40 inches, which is here. And then I'll be adding allowance of 4 inches. For my neck width for the back, I'll use 2 inches. Sorry, my neck depth, I use 2 inches. Then for the neck width, 4 inches. Okay. So for the front bodice, at the waistline, you make sure you have more than half of your waist measurement. Since mine is 40, I'll make sure I have more than 20 inches at the waistline. I hope you get that. But like I said, we are going to be cutting with the back bodice. Okay. So from here now, if I'm to check, I should have more than 20 inches. You see it, I have about 24 inches. Okay. Okay. Now for the neckline, I'm not going to be putting any measurement. I'll just slant it to this point. Okay. But since this is a wrap round, I'm going to be slanting it to about 1.5 inches upwards. So it's going to be this way. Be very careful so that you don't expose more than you intend to expose. Okay, hope you see it. So this is one of the two front bodies. Now if you don't want this place straight, you can just put a slight curve, but make sure it is not deep so that you don't end up exposing more than you intend to expose. So I'll just flip it over and use it to cut the second side. Okay, so now we have both the front and the back. I hope you can now see it. Remember, the only place I added extra 15 inches was at my waistline on the lower part of our dress, not on this one. For this, I used my exact waist measurement. Then I added seam allowance. Okay. So quickly cut the sleeve. So for my sleeve, it is cone sleeve. The length is 10 inches, but I'll be using 11.5 inches. The extra inches are for fold. Okay, so this is for the sleeve. I'll just cut the second one. So having done all the cutting, what is left now is to cut lining in case you want to use lining. But if you don't want to use lining, you can cut out your facing for the front bodice and then the neckline for the back. You cut out the facing for this place, for this slant here, okay, and then you cut out the facing for the neck. That is if you don't want to use a lining, but I'll be making use of lining. And also I ended up using 4 yards of this Ankara fabric. Okay, so I'll just cut all the linings necessary and line them accordingly. I don't think there's any difficulty, or there should be any difficulty in lining what we already cut out. Okay, since this is the facing, of course you know that you're going to be lining here and then the 2 sides. Every other place will now be turned the other way around. And for the neck, you are lining the neck and the 2 sides. All other places turned inside out and then closed up. And then for the lower part of our dress, we're going to be lining. If you have enough lining, if you want to use a full lining, you start from the lower part to line. Okay, you line, you fold just the same way we do our pencil skirt. All right. Okay, now as you can see, I've lined the upper part. I also join them at the 2 shoulders, and also the lower part, I line them. The next thing to do will be to make some gather stitch at the waistline area. Okay, remember I made provision for that gathers, so I'm going to go ahead, make the stitch and gather it to the measurement of the circumference of my waist. I hope you've not forgotten that. All right. So now I've made the slight gathers. I hope you can see it. This is the back piece. I also did the same at the 2 front piece. I have to set it aside and go over to our bodice. First, we have to insert that before anything. So now carefully fold my fabric into 2, determine the midpoint at this center before I now know how to go about my dart. So here we have the midpoint. Okay, so I'll take 4 inches or 4.5 inches towards the left, same thing towards the right, and that's where I've been inserting my dart at this point and at this point also. 4.5 inches on either side. By the time I take half an inch on both sides, I'll be left with 4 inches. I hope you get that. That's 8 inches in all. That is my nipple to nipple measurement. I hope it's clear enough. So I'll be inserting my dart here and here, and also I will insert that at the back bodice. I hope it's clear enough. Now, having determined where my dart is going to sit, if you like, you can just notch it. So now I've notched it. I hope you see this is one notch. This is where the dart is going to sit. The other one is going to sit here. Remember, not on the same piece of fabric. One dart here, and then you open it up. The second one here. I hope it's clear enough. And as for the length of the dart, 4.5 inches or 5 is just fine. Okay. Now, having determined where our dart will sit, the next thing will be to put our rope. Now, I didn't measure this, but I'm sure it's going to go around my waist. Okay. So all I need to do now is to put this one here. Here, remember I made provision for it. I hope you've not forgotten. So I'm going to put this one here, this way, and close it up. Okay. I will do the same thing on the other side. Let me use pin so that you understand what I actually mean. So you should have something like this. I hope you get that. You also open this other side and do the same thing. Okay. So I'll go to the machine, attach these two first of all. So here we have the dart. I've inserted it and also the belt. I hope you can see it. I'll just bring the two together so that we join at the two sides. First of all, before we join the lower part. Okay. I'll use my pin to hold both sides. So I'll now place my body measurement, my bust and my waist. Bust is 22 inches. Waist is 20 inches. Okay. So I'm joining this way and this way. Okay, first of all. But then let's not forget, this one needs to pass through here. One of the two overlaps needs to pass through one side. Remember the one at the top. This one is okay. Let me turn it so that you understand better. So we have something like this. Okay. This one here is just okay, but this one under will have to pass through somewhere here. So when you are joining these two sides, you leave space for where this rope is going to pass through. I hope it's clear enough. Okay. Alright, so I've done the joining at the two sides. I also attach the sleeve. Okay, like we said, there is an opening here. I hope you see it. So it's going this way. Okay. and then this one will pass through the back and then to the front again. That is if you have a long rope, but if you have a short rope, it might end up just at the back. All right, so the next thing will be to just join the lower part to this waistline. So first of all, we are going to measure this waistline. Okay, so the circumference of this is, remember, it is supposed to be more than my waist because it is wrapping round, and also because of these two ends. I hope you know, so that it can cover very well since we're not using any zip. Okay, so this is 56 inches. That is the length of this waist, the circumference. So I'm going to join the lower part together and make sure I also have 56 inches. I hope you understand. Okay, so I'm going to join them this way and then the other side this way. Okay, leaving the center open, but I'll make sure that what I have corresponds with the circumference of the waistline of the upper part. All right, so last I've joined the upper and the lower part together. I hope you see it. This was the little gathers I inserted at the back. Okay, hope you see it. So follow me while I try it on. I also inserted pockets, by the way. I thought it would be beautiful on it. Okay, all right people, so this is the end result. You can see how beautiful the dress is looking. You can see the opening. I hope you see it very, very well. Can you please turn the back so that we see it better? I hope you see how gorgeous it is looking. I advise that you try this at home. Okay, it is actually very simple. Just take the steps I've taken to get your own done. If this tutorial has been helpful to you in any way, please don't forget to give us your thumbs up, and when you do that, also share our videos. Till we meet in my next tutorial, stay safe, take very good care of yourself, and show kindness to people. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Bye.